We all agree the right to vote is fundamental, right? It's the core of our democracy. But what happens when that right is put at risk? What if I told you that millions of names could be wiped from the voter rolls, all thanks to a single form? Today, we're going to dig into something called Form 7. It's a document that's supposed to keep elections fair, but right now it's at the heart of a massive debate about who actually gets to cast a vote.
All right, to really get a grip on what's happening here, we need to start with a number. And trust me, it's a big one. 6.5 crore. Let that sink in for a second. That's 65 million people. This is the staggering number of names that have been recently deleted from India's voter rolls. We're not talking about a small correction. This is like the entire population of a large country potentially losing their right to vote.
So where did this number come from? Well, these voters were officially classified as ASD. That's a code for absent, shifted, or dead/duplicate. So the idea is that these are people who shouldn't have been on the list anyway. And some states, like Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and Gujarat, they saw some really, really high numbers of these deletions.
Okay, so the big question is how? How in the world are 65 million names just removed from the list? It all comes down to one surprisingly powerful tool.
And this is it, Form 7. The entire process really hinges on this one document. On the surface, it's pretty simple. It's an official form that allows any registered voter to object to a name on the electoral roll. It could be their own name or, and this is the important part, it could be someone else's.
Now, you can't just file one of these for any old reason. There are very specific, legitimate grounds. We're talking about things like, a voter has passed away, or maybe their name is on a list twice by mistake, or if someone has moved out of the area. It's supposed to be for these really clear-cut cases where someone is obviously ineligible to vote there.
So you might be asking, why even have a form like this in the first place? And that's a fair question. On paper, its purpose is actually pretty straightforward and, well, not controversial at all. In fact, it's meant to be a really crucial part of keeping our democracy healthy.
The whole point is just to keep the voter lists clean and accurate, right? You want to get rid of names of people who've moved or, sadly, passed away. This helps stop any potential for fraud. It's all about making sure every single vote that's cast is legitimate. I mean, that's what a free and fair election is all about.
All right, so if this tool is so powerful, how do you stop it from being misused? Well, the system is supposed to have a bunch of checks and balances built right in. Let's walk through how it's supposed to work, step by step.
Okay, so here's the official process. First, someone files the objection using Form 7. Then, and this is key, a booth-level officer, a BLO, is supposed to go and do a physical check. After that, a notice gets sent to the person whose name is being challenged, and they get a hearing to make their case. The final decision is made by the electoral registration officer, and even that decision can be appealed. So you see, there are meant to be multiple layers of protection.
Okay, so if all those safeguards are in place, what's the big deal? Why is there controversy at all? Well, this is where things get complicated, and this is the real heart of the issue.
The concerns really boil down to two big things. First, there are allegations that people are using Form 7 for bulk deletions. We're talking huge numbers of these forms being submitted all at once. And second, and this one is really worrying, there are reports of outright forgery. Can you just imagine finding out your name was on one of these forms with your signature, but you know for a fact you never ever signed it?
And let's be clear, the law takes this incredibly seriously. This isn't like some minor parking ticket. The law is super explicit about this. Filing a false declaration is a punishable crime under the Representation of the People Act. And the penalties are no joke. If you're found guilty of filing a fake claim, you could face up to a year in prison, a fine, or even both. That deterrent is there for a very good reason, to protect the whole system. So all of this, it brings us to a much bigger question. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about some piece of paper or a bureaucratic process. This is about the fundamental right to vote.
And this is really the core dilemma, isn't it? You have this tool, Form 7, that's supposed to be a shield. It's there to protect the integrity of our elections, to get rid of ghost voters and stop fraud. But then on the flip side, there's this huge concern that it's being used as a weapon, a tool for mass disenfranchisement, to wrongly kick thousands of legitimate voters off the lists, sometimes right when an election is around the corner. So that leaves us with a really tough challenge. How do you balance these two things? On one hand, you absolutely need clean, accurate voter lists. But on the other, You have to protect every single citizen's fundamental right to vote. How do you make sure you're doing both? There's really no easy answer here, and it's a question that gets to the very heart of what a free and fair election is all about.